Here on HQ, Bucks wideout Mike Evans is going to miss multiple weeks with a hamstring injury. That news coming down, the latest from our NFL insider Jonathan Jones. So Evans suffered that injury in Sunday's come-from-behind win over the Jets, but JJ says there is no plan to put him on the IR. The Bucks are off to a 3-0 start, but they face a really tough test this Sunday against the Philadelphia Eagles. All right, so let's welcome in our injury analyst, Marty Jaramillo. Marty, great to see you. We're going to go over some of the recovery processes that are out there for some big names in the NFL, some guys that are dealing with injuries not only there, but in the NBA as well. So starting with Mike Evans, out multiple weeks because of that hamstring injury. So what does the recovery look like to get Mike Evans back on the field as soon as possible, and when we consider his age as well?
Jacqueline, these are great questions. So first of all, he has a history of hamstring tears. Automatically, that puts him into the conservative side. Why is that? So hamstring tears, well, the hamstring has very poor blood supply, and that automatically makes it a little bit longer to heal. Two, most tears in the hamstring are small, but the healthy muscle around the tear tightens up and makes the whole injury size much larger. And because most tears are deep, very hard to get to. That said, he had a history. He missed 3 games in 2024. So what does that mean? Wishful thinking, he only misses 3 games this season. But because of the history, my smart money is that he actually is ready for week 6, and possibly, if the tear and the healing delays, they're going to go all the way to week 12. Why? Because they have the bye week in week 11. Yes, his age plays absolutely a lot in this particular scenario, but also the fact that he has a history.
All right, we're going to keep it in some injury news in terms of wide receivers. And of course, we got to talk about Cowboys wideout CeeDee Lamb dealing with a high ankle sprain. So, Marty, kind of give us the specifics of how you rehab a high ankle sprain, and why is it such a particularly difficult injury to deal with?
Well, first of all, CeeDee Lamb took a snap, in the backfield. Why is that significant? Well, the backfield, the running back position, is the most unprotected position in the NFL, and he sustained a high ankle sprain. What does that mean? Well, a little show and tell, Jacqueline. So the high above the ankle joint, okay, is the fibula and the tibia, and the ligament right here is the high ankle joint ligament. Now, why is that so important? Because every time, if that tears, every time you push off, that ligament spreads. And if that spreads, the athlete loses all power on push-off. Does it heal well? Absolutely. And rest is the key. Now, early reports that it's not severe, but still need rest nevertheless. So I expect him to be back within 4 weeks. But there's a little bit of previous history, his age, etc. Man, I can't believe they left him unprotected.
And then we see the schedule here for the Cowboys in week 4 against the Packers. That's not going to be an easy task, especially if you don't have CeeDee Lamb out there. The Niners, a team dealing with a whole lot of injuries. Nick Bosa, that is the most recent one, tore his ACL. He has history with that injury before. So, Marty, what are the steps to recovery? And once he is able to start moving around, how do you strengthen that knee and knowing that this is something that he's dealt with before?
Well, we have a couple of things here. History would be an understatement. This is his 3rd ACL injury from high school, NFL, and now. So it was a non-contact injury. And yes, many NFL players and many athletes in general are predisposed to ACL. And there's no rhyme or reason. It just is. So what is in his favor? So we hear about muscle memory, but guess what? There's also injury memory and also injury history. Nick Bosa has tremendous history and injury memory in this situation. He will miss the entire next season. Why is that okay in my book? Because we look at season-ending injuries, in this case, in all cases, as only an opportunity. So he has history. He knows what it takes. He will proceed in a much rapid form. However, the fact that he also has a history, they will also be more conservative. The combination puts him in a great situation for next season. Why? Because he knows what it takes. He knows the discipline. He knows what's good pain. He also knows what bad pain. So yes, he has been predisposed, but every single time, first ACL, second ACL, third ACL, he knows what it's going to take. And he's had zero issues, both short-term and without question, long-term. So he'll be back stronger than ever. Why? Because an opportunity to get your mind straight, your body straight, a year away from football, and let's go next season.
All right, we're going to keep talking about torn ACLs, unfortunately, and this time for a different sport. Want to switch gears over to the NBA because camps are starting up, and a notable one here is Fred VanVleet, who tore his right ACL. Is there any chance that he could return for the 2025-2026 season? Like, does that recovery look different for an NBA player versus an NFL player?
So the answer there, that's such a great question. The answer is much harder for an NBA player. Why? The total mileage that has to be run in an NBA season is so significant compared to any NFL season, and especially any NBA season compared to just 10 years ago. VanVleet essentially sustained a non-contact ACL injury. 70% of all ACL injuries are non-contact. So why is this an issue? Well, the Rockets are going to be devastated from a player perspective. He is such a great athlete. And with ACL recovery is so well perfected. By week 1, guess what? He's already on the bike for range of motion. By week 10 or 12, he's already jogging. By week 24, 6 months, he's doing sport-specific activities. So yes, to your question, can he return this season? 100% he can by month 7. But if the Rockets are not in any way in playoff contention, there's no question they will rush him and rest him for the remainder of the season. So their record towards that second half of the season is everything in terms of getting him back. But in terms of short term, no issue, because with that rehab is perfected. Long term, no issue as well, because ACL rehab is no longer season or career ending.
And Marty, we had Jayson Tatum here on CBS Sports HQ a little bit earlier, and he, of course, talked about his Achilles injury. We know he tore his Achilles in May of 2025. He told us, hey, I've been in the gym. I've been rehabbing 6 days a week. He said, I can't give you an exact timeline as to when I'll be back, of course, but 6 days a week, when I'm hearing that, I'm thinking, like, that's some pretty intense recovery, right? Is that typical? Is that normal for an Achilles injury for an NBA player?
Well, Jacqueline, he is an absolute beast. Well, number one, he's very young to have had an ACL injury, but that also goes back to what I mentioned earlier, the total mileage now that is required by a starter in the NBA is significant, over 200 miles per season. Now, we are 6 days a week rehabbing, over 5 months since surgery. He is well on his way, and more importantly, actually much ahead of schedule. But that said, he also talked about he was betrayed by the game. He truly didn't believe he would be able to come back, and that takes a mental toll. Yes, he absolutely will be physically back, but the mental component to understand that he mentally can be back is yet another question. Can he be back this season from a schedule-wise? 100% based on his youth, based on his aggressive rehab. However, if the Celtics are not in any way in playoff contention, there is absolutely no reason to rush your franchise player.
And to your point, Marty, about, being mentally there, he was pretty vulnerable with us saying, like, I've cried at sometimes. It's been really emotional. It's been really, really difficult. So important that we don't forget about that aspect of recovery as well. Marty,
always together.
Yeah, always. We appreciate it, Marty. Got some big names in the NBA and the NFL dealing with injuries, so it's great to touch base on the recovery side of things. We got you covered here on CBS Sports HQ. Every highlight, every headline, everything you need to know that is happening in the world of sports. You can stream us for free 24/7. Just scan that QR code to download the CBS Sports app.